Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. We are going to make some delicious apple fritters today. The fritters will be a sweet reward for some jobs that you and I will tackle today. They will also be a reward for a huge job that my friend Victoria and I tackled yesterday. Let's go back to yesterday so that I can show you the work in question. It involves the ancient front doors on this equally ancient house. As you may have noticed in previous episodes, my double front doors were in dire need of restoration work. The doors, which are crafted from mahogany, probably date back to 1850. The wood had become so dry and weathered, it practically resembled driftwood. When Victoria offered to help me restore the doors, I could not refuse her. We spent about 3 torturous hours sanding the doors. Then we used tack cloth to remove all the sanding dust. Finally, we applied spar urethane to the wood. Spar urethane is a highly durable sealant intended for outdoor use. I will lightly sand the wood again before applying subsequent coats of urethane. But even after one coat, the appearance of the doors is rather dramatic. Victoria and I are very pleased with the work. I think the doors are pleased too. They seem happy now. So to make these apple fritters, the first thing we need to do is peel a couple of apples. I'm using Honeycrisp apples today. I love Honeycrisp because they are sweet and tart. And these apples came from my local orchard. My body still feels the pain from all the work we did yesterday. I think we deserve apple fritters. So now I'm simply going to dice these apples. You can use any kind of apple that you like for apple fritters. You know, Granny Smith is always good. Golden Delicious comes to mind. Fuji, whatever you like. I like to saute my apples in a little butter and a tiny amount of sugar before I turn them into fritters because I don't like raw apple in fritters. Let's head over to the stovetop. So I'm setting my skillet over medium heat. I'm going to melt about 2 tablespoons of butter. And when this melts, we can add the apples. And in go the apples, along with 1 tablespoon of sugar, or thereabouts. Use slightly less than 1 tablespoon, and a bit of cinnamon. And then I will let these apples cook until they are tender crisp. That will take about 8 minutes. And our apples are tender crisp after about 8 minutes. The apples smell just like apple pie, and that is one of my favorite scents. The scent always reminds me of my very first piano lesson. I was very nervous that day, but when I walked into my teacher's house, the first thing I noticed was apple pie baking in the oven. And that scent is so calming that I lost all of my nervousness, had a very good piano lesson, and I continued piano lessons for more than a decade. These apples need to cool to room temperature, and while we wait for that to happen, let's head outside. I need to winterize my herb garden. When compared to restoring my front doors, this autumn garden cleanup seems an easy job. I probably won't finish the job today, but I can get a good start on it. So the first thing we need to do is pull up these bell pepper plants. These are the bell peppers that you and I grew from seed last spring. And the plants performed just phenomenally well. And if I happen to find any usable peppers remaining on them, we will harvest them. Of course, all of this greenery will be turned into compost. I already see some peppers. There's one, little tiny one, medium size. Anything else on here? Yes, there's more. Wow. I'm actually finding quite a few peppers. And look at this. A ripe pepper. I don't know how I missed that when we harvested the peppers a couple of weeks ago. Any others on this? No. Another. I guess peppers like to hide. Ooh, you are lovely. Keep you. Now my goal is to leave the garden in autumn the way I want to find it in spring. So this means cleaning everything up so it's ready to plant in spring. I have a lovely little lettuce patch that I started about 3 weeks ago. So we won't touch this. Lettuce can handle several hard frosts and keep going. So I will probably have lettuce through December. I need to empty this compost. So my compost is one of the beds up here in the big kitchen garden. The kitchen garden is going to be a whole other winterizing project. And here is one massive celery plant, which we also grew from seed. Going to harvest this today. And then I can cut it up, blanch it, and freeze it. Oh, it is gorgeous. Supermarket size. Look at these celery stems. They're just beautiful. I don't have any more room in my basket, so I will leave this celery plant right here for the moment. My chives are certainly finished for the season, so I'm going to cut them all the way back to the ground. Then I have some cilantro to harvest. I don't think I will remove the plants just yet because they are still producing. And oh, do I love the scent of cilantro. And here is a head of radicchio that we can harvest today. we can enjoy this for a beautiful salad. Look at how beautiful the leaves are. And then here is some celery that regrew after our initial celery harvest. I did not pull up the plants by the roots. I simply cut them off at the base, so the celery regenerated. I'm going to leave these here because they are still actively growing. We got celery, a lot of bell peppers, and some cilantro from this little cleanup job. I'm not finished cleaning up. I will have to come out later today and try to finish the job. But I think our apples are at room temperature now, so let's continue with our apple fritter making project. I still have parsley and whatnot to pull up from the herb garden, but our apples have definitely cooled, so we can start making the batter. Yeah, apple fritters are simply apples that are fried in a very simple batter. If you can make pancake batter, you can make apple fritters. I'm going to transfer the apples to a bowl because we will use the same skillet in which to fry the fritters. I need to wash this out and then gather my batter ingredients. I need to heat 1.5 inches of oil in this skillet. So I am inserting my trusty thermometer. And I'm going to use avocado oil. And we will heat this oil to 360 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 182 degrees Celsius. And while this is heating, we can gather together our batter ingredients. I need 1 2/3 cups of flour, which I'm going to weigh out for you. 250 grams. To the flour, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of sugar. 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. A little less than 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. A pinch of nutmeg. And we can whisk all of these dry ingredients together. For the wet ingredients, we need 2 large eggs, minus the shell that just fell in. And I'm going to lightly beat the eggs. 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. Pour these right into the eggs. And a 1/2 cup of milk, which is about 120 ml. Now we can add the wet ingredients to the dry. This seems just a little thick to me, so I'm going to add a tiny speck of milk. This is about 1 teaspoon. And in go the apples. And just fold the apples in. Lizette is behind the camera. She said, "This smells super yummy." And it does, with the cinnamon and the nutmeg and vanilla. Let's check on our oil. We are ready to fry. You can make your fritters any size you desire. I'm making mine rather small, and I'm going to let them cook for about 90 seconds on one side, and then I will flip them and let them cook, for 1 minute or so on the other side. The goal is to maintain a temperature of 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius. We warmed up our oil 10 degrees higher than that because as soon as you add the batter, of course, the oil temperature drops. Oh, gorgeous. So you're looking for a golden brown. First batch done. I think I'm going to make my next batch a little larger. There, these have a more rustic shape, which I really like. By the way, I love this digital thermometer. Keeps us honest while we are frying. Oh, these are even prettier than the first batch. And I have just 2 or 3 more to make. Do a little baby apple fritter here. So I have these fritters on a rack set over a paper towel lined baking tray. This way the fritters can drain. Look at these. They are just gorgeous. We need to let these cool completely and then we can glaze them. I think we should shop for flowers and make a flower arrangement.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars.
We are home again. The flowers we bought are right over here. But before we can arrange them, I want to make a glaze for our wonderful apple fritters. So I need 2 cups of confectioner's sugar. I'm going to sift the sugar because I don't want any lumps in my glaze. And sifty, sifty. Then I need a splash of vanilla, about a teaspoon or so, and just enough milk to make a smooth, pourable glaze. This looks good. And there we have it. I'm going to let the glaze set up. Meantime, we can arrange the flowers. I have just clipped some yew branches from my garden. I always like to add you to my flower arrangements because they help to stabilize the flowers. By which I mean they help to hold the flowers in position. Little flower preservative. Yellow alstroemeria. Purple carnations. I thought these carnations were dyed purple, but the shop assured me this is a natural color for carnations. Snapdragon in a shade somewhere between pink and purple. Then I have these filler greens. I don't remember the name of this green. Oh, I'm liking the texture that this green is giving to our very humble arrangement. And then I have this little filler flower. I used to know the name of the flower, but I just can't recall the name right now. And there we have it. A very simple, but very colorful arrangement. I'm going to keep these in the kitchen while I decide where we will enjoy our fritters. I want to deal with the bell peppers that we harvested earlier today. So I have just washed and now I am drying all of the peppers that you and I harvested earlier today. It was a nice little surprise to find all of these peppers in the herb garden. And of course, I have many peppers already frozen. So all I have to do is cut them up. I'm going to cut these into strips. Very useful to have bell pepper strips for things like fajitas. So these peppers have been through multiple hard frosts. I'm really surprised they didn't deteriorate because of the cold, but then we can freeze peppers and they do not deteriorate in the freezer. And I will be so happy to have these during winter. And of course, every time I use them, I will think of my 2024 garden. And there we have it. Not quite a peck of peppers, but a lot of peppers. I'm going to flash freeze these and then we can vacuum seal them. And there we have it. 3 vacuum sealed bags of garden fresh bell peppers. I'm going to pop these into the freezer. And then I think we should enjoy our apple fritters. This is Earl Grey from Tierra Farm. It is so incredibly fragrant. I just love it. I told my friend Victoria that I would deliver some apple fritters to her. So I'm going to do that right after we have our tea break. to the music room. I cannot wait to dive into this apple fritter. I cannot possibly describe how wonderful this fritter is. It's sweet, the apples are perfectly tender, the pastry around the apples is just indescribably wonderful. And the pastry has a lovely crunch to it. Well, we certainly deserved this sweet apple fritter reward. Thank you so much for joining me as we restored the double front doors. We started our garden cleanup project. We harvested bell peppers and more from the garden. We shopped for and arranged these flowers. We preserved some of the aforementioned garden produce, and we made these incredible apple fritters. I've said it before, and I will say it again. I really appreciate your company. Again, thank you so much for spending time with me. I'm going to finish my fritter and my tea, and I will probably sleep very well tonight. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I will see you in the next episode, which will come out on Friday. Take great care of yourself, friends. Bye for now.